This is the Business Owners IT Podcast with Anthony Gerasch and Ryan Carter, where tomorrow's technology meets today's conversations.
Hi, I'm Tony Gerasch.
And I'm Ryan Carter, and this is the Business Owners IT Podcast.
A podcast where we discuss tips, tricks, and solutions for business owners involving all things tech.
I'm just going to throw this one up and hit it. Zero trust. How do you feel about it, Tony?
Oh, boy. Zero trust is a big topic, right? So I'll start with a story, right? There's two types of zero trust that we can be talking about here. But I'm going to talk about zero trust as it pertains to your computers and your software, that's your cloud-based software and that like that in this episode. But you can there's also the zero trust as it comes to application whitelisting with ThreatLocker. So I think maybe we can turn this into two episodes, one where we talk about ThreatLocker more in detail and what it does. That's basically application whitelisting. But in this part, we're going to talk about Microsoft, your Microsoft 365 tenant, and your identities and things like that. So to start out, I'm going to start out with a little scenario here, right? So a while back, probably a year and a half, 2 years ago now, I hired a guy, and he was going to work in the service desk as a service desk IT coordinator. Basically, going to answer calls, create tickets, and do all that stuff, right? So I hired this guy, and he's probably 1 day in, 2 days in, and the next thing I know, he's in at home on his computer, getting into, all of our portals, using the laptop from home, using his personal laptop from home or personal computer, and getting into all of our stuff. Now, as a service provider,
and the sad part of that is that's your stuff too.
Yeah, that's the sad part about that. Yes, it contains our customers' information, right? It's that, it's like personal identifiable information, right? This is all of our customers. This is our livelihood. And, and I came back into the office and I said to Ryan, Ryan, I know me and you have talked about it, and we had talked about it for a long time, but I said we can't have people getting in to our portals, our portals that we use to support you, our documentation portals, our RMM, remote monitoring and management portals, our Huntress, which is your endpoint detection and response portal, ThreatLocker, which is another portal. We can go on and on. I mean, there's a list of like 15 of them now that we have. I said we can't have people getting in remotely, and that we need to be able to do something about this now.
And I said,
Yes. So, I was at a conference, and I'll throw a thing out to PAX 8. I was at a conference, and we talked about FIDO keys. And so if you see here, I don't know if you guys can see it, but this is a FIDO key. These are keys that we have to now use, right, to get into our software. And to make it a little bit more, I'm going to let Ryan talk a little bit more about this and how this works. So I'll hand it over to him. But basically what I'm going to tell you is that, using these keys, you can only get into our stuff from our laptops. You cannot get in, I can't do it. I can't get in from home. And I'll kick it over to Ryan. You could talk a little bit about it.
Yeah, one of the neat things too about the FIDO key is once you got this all set up, you're now passwordless for your sign-ins. So that's pretty cool. Another shout out to PAX 8 is they did help me out with a lot of this setup and learning some of the new things that need to be done to do this. And the first one is that we got to take all of our computers, from our local domain and get them into Microsoft 365's Azure, and then also tie that into Intune. So we had to develop a hybrid environment to do it. So that was kind of fun. Took some time, and that was learn some cool stuff. But once we were in that, we were able to start using the FIDO keys to authenticate our computers when they're in Intune. And then the next big piece to that is we need to have single sign-on through our other providers, so our other portals that we use to get to your client's stuff. And with that single sign-on, we're now using Microsoft as that identity provider. So when we go to sign into our stuff, you have to sign in through our identity provider, Microsoft, who then asks, is that computer that you're signing in a computer that's on in your company and also authenticated or in compliance with your company? So those are the major things that we do when we sign into our tools to support you guys, is that it has to be a computer that's been given out from Unique Computing Solutions to our employee, and they have to use a registered FIDO key to sign in, or a passwordless type key, because we are doing a couple other things with pass keys that you guys are seeing around, which we might have a podcast on that coming up too. So there you go, Tony.
Yeah, so the whole thing is right now I can hire a new person, right, and they can only get in from our computer. They can only get into our software from our computer, right? And these are the things that, again, it's not just, this podcast isn't just about my company, right? But this is to educate you guys. These are things that you have to be asking your IT providers. And I've said it multiple times in multiple sessions, right? What is your IT provider doing to make you secure, save you from their tools, right? Who can get in? Do you know who's getting in, right? So, we did it quick. We did it like in 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks. We were like, nobody's getting in on their home computer or personal computer, and it all had to be our hardware.
Here's one of my favorite ones. Is Tony took a trip that was a little outside the border of the United States, and I have everything locked down to the United States. And when he goes to get in his computer and it says you can't sign in from here, he just took a picture of it and texted it over to me. He goes, "Well, I guess I'm not working."
Yeah, I did. So yeah, I took a picture. This is recent, right? It's gone for.
It ain't the first time.
Yeah, it ain't the first time. I was gone on a cruise, and I was gonna get in to do something to help somebody, and it said I couldn't get in. I said, "Okay," I just took a picture. It said, "Okay, I'm not working then. That's fine."
I just laughed.
But,
like, this a-hole.
But again, as you have to realize, if somebody gets into any IT server provider's tools, it's game over. They're going to be able to do whatever they want. If they're smart, and these guys that are hacking are smart, and they would love to get into our tools, and another thing, like this person I hired, I didn't know what his family was like. I didn't know, what his children were like. It could be a computer in an open area. He signs into, let's say, our remote monitoring and management. He leaves it open and leaves, right? So,
yeah, the kid goes to download a new Minecraft server after that from a malicious site. You never know.
Right. So, so you have the ability to do the zero trust, and you need the right licenses. You have to use Intune, and you have to make sure your computer is actually part of Azure AD for, I don't know what they call it now, Entra ID, and your computer's in there. That's how it works. And then the other thing, too, the computer has to be compliant, right? So if your firewall is off, or if you're missing something, or Defender's off, it's going to kick them out, too. It's going to say, hey, that computer's not compliant. It can't log in. It has to be BitLockered.
Yeah,
I think is another
disk
one.
encryption is very important.
Yeah, disk encryption. So it has to be, one of our computers, and, it's very important. And we can help you guys do it too if you want to. I think we have a customer we do it with Salesforce. What are some of the other stuff besides our tools where we have customers that we helped with single sign-on?
Salesforce, Jira.
Azure, yeah.
A lot of them use that.
Yeah.
Salesforce is the biggest one.
Yeah.
It is by far the biggest one because, everyone wants to hook that up to their 365 so they don't have to have two different sign-ins. But once you do that, you need to make sure that you're doing a little bit more secure. Make sure your employees get signed out after 8 hours, or a certain time frame instead of just letting them be signed into Salesforce all the time. You spend a lot of money with Salesforce. That's the last thing you want to see go away.
Yeah, and the other thing is cool, too, is if somebody leaves and you terminate them, you only have one place to go and kick them out of everything.
Yeah.
So they're done. You can kick them out, close them. You can kick them out, and they'll be done. They can't get in Salesforce. And if you have a whole bunch of portals like us, 5, 10, 15 of them, they can't get in. You just lock their account and change their password and, get rid of their two-factor credentials, and we're done.
I do sleep safer at night with that. So if I know, an employee left abruptly or something, I can just like he said, just disable them. They can't get in the stuff. And then I can go in later and do all my back-end cleanup. But I know right then and there that they're not getting in anything.
Yeah. So, zero trust is where it's at. We need to, you should be thinking about it. And I know for our customers, when I did the most recent quarterly business reviews, I told them, hey, we're going to be adding all your computers into Azure AD. We're not charging them anything to do that. We're just doing it in preparation for this. As it matures, you're going to see more and more of it, right? So we just want to be ready. So when they say, hey, we want to do this, or we saw this, we can do it.
Yep. And that's what zero trust is too, is you got to think of it as you're building the trust. So you start with nothing, right? Everything's blocked. And then you work it in your computers one at a time, get them in there, and then you build up that trust in your network. So that's what
Absolutely.
Zero trust means. You just start with nothing and build it up.
Yeah, and then you could also turn it into your email as well, right? Where you can start to try to, have data loss prevention and things like that inside of the portal.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, so, you can, like I sent something out recently, and Ryan had set up some stuff in our place and it got flagged because it had some bank account numbers in it. So that's another part of the zero trust. Like, you can start to fine tune it and tighten it and tighten it and tighten it. until you have something that works for you.
Yep, and it's great. You can, if a social security number gets released out of email, DLP will pick it up. So yeah, that's a whole nother podcast.
That's another topic. Okay, so I hope you guys found this, helpful. And I would like to thank everybody for tuning in to the Owner's IT podcast. And I hope to see you next week. That's the second time I screwed that
and I
up.
want to put a pause right there before I say it. If you guys want to do anything with Zero Trust with your company, please put a comment below and we can help you with that. Subscribe or just give us a call. Or reach out to us via the our YouTube channel or wherever you found us. Just reach out because we will help you with that Zero Trust. We can give you some tips and tricks, but obviously we'd like to be your IT provider, so just let us know. Thank you, and have
Thanks.
a great day.
Unique computing solutions. Your IT challenges solved.